The night sky glittered with countless stars, but quickly, twinkling lights revealed approaching UFOs. By morning, the first wave of spacecraft landed in cities across the globe. Citizens watched in awe and terror. By noon, the aliens displayed their destructive capabilities, dismantling infrastructure and causing widespread chaos. Later in the afternoon, the government declared a state of emergency, and the military began defensive operations against the invaders. By nightfall, the aliens employed advanced weaponry to fend off the military forces, resulting in massive casualties. The next morning, military leadership convened to assess the situation. The need for nuclear weapons emerged as a potential solution. By noon, world leaders faced the grim decision to use nuclear arms as a last resort to end the invasion. That afternoon, preparations for the nuclear strike began. Scientists worked to ensure the system's safety and accuracy. As night fell again, alien attacks intensified, plunging the world into deeper despair. By the following morning, the first test of a nuclear weapon on an uninhabited area proved the technology's effectiveness. By noon, final decisions were made on launching the nuclear weapons, identifying strategic alien sites for targeting. In the afternoon, specialized nuclear teams started the launch preparations. That night, an intensified alien assault on a major capital forced the urgency of launching the nuclear attack. As the night settled in, reports started to surface about dormant alien cells embedded within the major cities, sparking widespread concern about potential new attacks. The next morning, a second nuclear strike was executed on a significant alien stronghold, resulting in complete obliteration. By noon, damage assessments had begun, with military leadership increasingly anxious about the environmental impact of utilizing nuclear weapons. As the afternoon progressed, there was a heightened focus on ensuring a more balanced use of nuclear force to prevent extensive environmental destruction. By nightfall, the aliens, under immense pressure, began retreating from several areas, though pockets of resistance remained. The following morning, international efforts intensified to persuade the aliens either to surrender or retreat. By midday, scenes depicted teams dealing with the radioactive fallout from the nuclear strikes. That afternoon, world leaders were deep in negotiations about the next steps post-nuclear assaults. As night descended once more, further nuclear attacks were deployed to neutralize the remaining alien bases. The next morning, facing significant losses, the aliens started their withdrawal into outer space. By noon, the dismantling of alien military infrastructure in various regions was underway. As the afternoon wore on, the domino effect of nuclear weapons on the environment and humanity became increasingly evident. That night, global leaders convened a conference to discuss reconstruction and decontaminating radiation-polluted sites. The following morning, emergency teams worked tirelessly to address damages and provide humanitarian aid to affected populations. By midday, the decontamination of irradiated zones had commenced. That afternoon, governments put in place measures to shield against future alien incursions. The aftermath of the alien invasion had left Earth in a state of mourning and reflection, but also an unwavering determination to rebuild and prevent future threats. The night was somber as leaders and citizens alike gathered to honor the bravery of soldiers and the ingenuity of scientists who had played pivotal roles in thwarting the invasion. The next morning, the world buzzed with activity as strategies to monitor space and safeguard the planet from future extraterrestrial threats were designed and implemented. By midday, international discussions were underway to find a delicate balance between limiting the proliferation of nuclear weapons and ensuring global security. As the afternoon light bathed the world, efforts to bolster international scientific cooperation and build new infrastructure began in earnest. That evening, precautionary measures to mitigate radioactive contamination and restore the natural environment were set into motion. The following morning saw the launch of educational programs aimed at raising awareness about radiological safety and the critical importance of international cooperation. By midday, a global summit was convened to devise new strategies for planetary protection and the avoidance of nuclear arms usage. The afternoon was dedicated to the continued efforts of cleaning and decontaminating affected areas to improve environmental health. As the night fell, world leaders exchanged visions on enhancing cooperation in space exploration and defense. The next morning marked the beginning of restoring normalcy to the affected regions, fostering hope among the populace. By midday, reconstruction efforts were accelerated, incorporating innovative technologies to handle future emergencies. Throughout the afternoon, meticulous planning went into establishing robust space surveillance systems to avert any future invasions. That night, a sense of stability and calm pervaded the world as attention turned to building a better future. The following morning brought forward comprehensive plans focused on enhancing security and scientific innovation. By midday, volunteers and medical teams who had been instrumental in relief efforts were honored. The world had been draped in a somber silence for months. The crisis had squared everyone's shoulders and darkened every heart. But tonight, under the canopy of countless stars, Earth breathed once more. Images from satellites painted the planet in ribbons of green, the lands rejuvenating as nature began to fill the void left in human busyness. Rivers ran clear and skies were no longer choked with smog. Animals roamed freely, reclaiming territories vacated by mankind's retreat indoors. It was a sight of cosmic beauty, a silent promise of renewal. The next morning, as the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, a new tableau unfolded. World leaders, once divided by politics and pride, now stood shoulder to shoulder. There was a rare glimmer of unity in their eyes. Across continents and oceans, screens flickered on, capturing the moment. Nations were signing accords for environmental protection, healthcare advancements, and trade rebalances. The air buzzed with the hopeful chirps of dawn birds and the hum of human camaraderie. This wasn't just the end of a crisis, it was the beginning of a renaissance. International cooperation had been reborn, and with it, a new era of peace and prosperity. Suspicion was replaced with trust, and competition with collaboration. The earth turned over a new leaf, and so did the hearts of its inhabitants.